Knox, and welcome to episode 6. Current Bitcoin price is $19,810. $1 can buy you 5,049 sats, and the current block height is 744,871. And for Hard Money, Hard Knocks, we're dedicated to shine light on Bitcoiners working hard to improve adoption in their community. And for today's episode, we're going to be bringing on the guys from Bitcoin Bay down in Tampa Bay, Florida. So welcome, guys. We got Ben, John, Fabio, and Wesley. So guys, welcome, and thank you for coming on here.
Come on. Thanks for having us.
Hey guys, how are you?
So why don't you, one at a time, just kind of give a little bit of your background, how you got into Bitcoin.
Is that me, or is that?
I think he's frozen. Why don't you start us off, Ben? How do you get in Bitcoin?
Yeah, we're still live, right?
Yeah,
okay. All right. I'm Ben. Got into Bitcoin because
I'm back here. Okay, sorry about that. I don't know. This keeps happening today, so sorry about that.
no,
Okay, so I don't know if you guys heard, but Ben, John, Wesley, Fabio, why don't you go ahead and give a little bit of your background and when you got in Bitcoin and why you guys are involved with the group.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben. I'm a software engineer in the space. I've been doing everything in the crypto world for the last 5 years, engineering-wise. Specifically, the last 2 years, became Bitcoiner, doing all Bitcoin-related stuff. Now I work on the Lightning Network, and started the BitDevs down in Tampa. Because I wanted, when I was in college, I wanted like a group that I could go learn about engineering. So when I moved to Tampa, started the BitDevs group where I met these guys, and it's evolved to even more of that and orange pilling the Tampa Bay area, or Bitcoin Bay, like we call it.
Right on.
Good deal. And myself, come from traditional finance, worked the commercial real estate, private equity side. Got into the full orange cloak, orange pill mode, and then made the full transition and left. Went to work at Unchained this year. So it's been a slow progression, and during that time, I met Ben, Fabio, and Wes through the BitDevs. I actually met Ben out through a second party at Austin BitDevs in my journey to get to Austin. So simple, long story. Everyone has a long story, but that's a quick nutshell on how I got there.
Right on, Fabio.
So I work in real estate development, nothing related to Bitcoin, but I've been doing my part here for the last 2.5, 3 years to try and orange pill as many people as I can. I met these guys at the first BitDevs that Ben set up in early January this year, and I think all 4 of us ended up staying out till like 2 a.m. drinking beers together, and from there, we kind of just hit it off and figured we needed to, do more meetups and socials and things like that. But I don't have an engineering or background in that. I guess, maybe watching conspiracy theories videos, growing up at 3 a.m. I knew the money was broken, but I didn't know that Bitcoin was the solution until I really dove down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So that's really where kind of my background and how I got started in it.
And
I started with crypto in 2017, and then just was like, this is sweet, we're making money, and then kind of got the kick in the ass during COVID. We're like, okay, wait, no, this actually means something, and got rid of all the altcoins, went full Bitcoin, dumped them all, got some Bitcoin miners, and then that's kind of been my niche with our meals. But yeah, we all met that one fateful night. Thanks to a guy named Barn Miner, who I'm sure you may have seen on Bitcoin Twitter. He's all over the place, but
he's coming through next week. He hit.
Well, there you go.
Yeah,
he's a great guy.
I'm getting to meet him next week. Looking forward to that.
But yeah, no. So we've just been trying to build out. We've got a nice team going here. We've all got our individual strengths, and we're excited. We're growing pretty rapidly there for a bit, and now we're kind of solidifying things.
Yeah. Oh, I know how that goes. So kind of give a little background, whoever wants to get going with this. how did the group start? How long ago? And just kind of the basics of Bitcoin Bay.
Yeah, sure. So Bitcoin meetups in Tampa Tampa has one of the first known Bitcoin meetups consistent back 2013. Gabe Higgins, founder of the company I work at, Block Spaces, also co-authored Thank God for Bitcoin. He started in 2013 and he's been doing meetups consistently ever since then. Those have kind of evolved to more than just Bitcoin. And I moved to Tampa from Cleveland, Ohio, about a little over a year ago now. And when I moved down there, really noticed that Tampa was primed just for Bitcoin adoption. Everybody was more interested in Bitcoin than from Ohio, where I'm from in Cleveland. And really wanted, I thought having BitDevs and having Bitcoin Bay really starting that. So I started that in January, and that's where I met these guys, and we've been doing more meetups since.
Right on. Since Fabio, since you're not involved in the Bitcoin space, how did you get involved in meetups and wanting to do, be a part of that?
Well, so for the past couple of years, I lived down in a city called Sarasota. It was about an hour south of Tampa, and the average age of residents there, I think, is like 60 probably. So when I was getting Orange Pill, I was looking for meetups, and I couldn't find anything there. So when I moved to Tampa last year, one of the first things I was going to do was, all right, if I can't find a meetup, I'm going to create one. And I hopped in one of the meetups that Ben had just discussed, and it was a little too shitcoiny for me. So I was starting to become a little agitated. I was like, all right, I got to find a Bitcoin meetup. And then I think Ben in the chat on one of those meetups, it was online. He was like, hey, come to our BitDevs then next Thursday or something like that. I was like, all right, I'm in. And that was that first night. And then I think growing from there, that night we kind of discussed, hey, where do we want to take this meetup? And, Ben's super focused in on the tech side of things. And I could tell at a couple of our first BitDev meetings that, we were losing a few of the beginners in the crowd. So then that's where we all kind of collectively said, all right, well, let's add a second meetup that we're going to call, Bitcoin 101 and try to get beginners involved. Because, adding on to what Ben said, I think a lot of people in the Tampa area are, they're already Bitcoiners. They just don't know it yet. The way they act and the way they, see the world. But it's going to be, our job to kind of orange pill on it. It's easier said than done, but you got to start, at ground zero, right? So that's what.
Yeah, but a place like Florida, all it takes is one kind of world event that really, like the Canadian truckers or funds being seized and stuff like that. Could that happening here in America, that could really wake Floridians up in a heartbeat. And all it takes is DeSantis is come out and start talking about Bitcoin too, and boom, imagine something like that. So really, true point on that, so I love hitting people with the freedom aspect of Bitcoin and my approach with trying to orange pill them. There's just, I could go on and on about that. And it's just, especially I'm from California, so living during COVID under Mussolini, just, it sucked. And I wanted to get out of there so bad. So me trying to tell people, some people who are into the politics and stuff, like hitting them with that freedom aspect was a good way to try to orange pill them. And
that's exactly what got my dad.
Yeah.
The Canadian truckers.
Oh, that's awesome.
He was like, wait, you can't donate to them anymore? I was like, unless you want to send them Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And I was awesome. The Tampa people, especially during COVID, were not having it. So now when they're like Ben said, it's primed down here, especially after these past 2 years. They said no to everything. It was beautiful, honestly. You could see crowds of people in the height of COVID, and maybe it was reckless, but
and honestly, that's a lot of the world. We just don't see it, So I'm just so ready for all this crap to be over, but we're not done yet.
No.
So Wesley, what got you into joining the group?
Yeah, so like I said, I had started mining a little bit, and for anyone who's interested, the Telegram home mining chats it's a phenomenal resource. There's a lot of super helpful people out there. It's where Econo Alchemist and like Steve Barber people hang out, just Bitcoin Twitter people. But through that, just kind of talking with people, talking stuff through. Barn Miner was like, oh hey, I live near you. He actually gave me like a brown box. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Upstream Data or what they're doing at all, but like it's at home mining. Oh, he's gone.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on here today, but I guess my internet sucks. So maybe
Where'd I
if
lose
I minimize all of our screens or something and just.
All right. Well, Barn Miner, we reached out with Barn Miner and was talking with him. And after a couple of weeks going back and forth with him, he was like, hey, we're going to this BitDes meetups. Do you want to go? And I was like, yeah, sure. I didn't even know we had one. That sounds great. Ended up wearing like a Gators shirt just for some reason. My sister went there, and then Fabio walks in. He's like, oh, hey, go Gators. And then he ended up sitting with us, and then I'm sitting with him, Barn Miner, and Fabio. And then Ben was one putting the whole thing on. I thought he was, there's the guy in charge. But then, we ended up hanging out with John, and then we're the ones that sat around towards the end, and, we sat for another 3-4 hours just being like, holy shit, we found people our age that or hate all the same things we do and love the same things we do. And, so we it was born at Corner Bar on Howard at 1:30 in the morning, and we all just kind of became instant best friends there.
Yeah. And, it's awesome. The connections I've built with people from meeting them at Bitcoin meetups, like I've met some really genuine friends, and it's really cool. I've tried to get my buddy who helps me organize our group on here, but he's just kind of, he's busy and stuff, whatever. So hopefully one of these days he'll get to come up here with me. But let's see. So what's been like your attendee count? Whoever wants to, maybe John, how many people have been showing up to your meetups, and what's age range that you guys have been getting showing up there?
I think we've been pretty fortunate just starting it out. I mean, our very first one, we had 4 people. And yes, and then it grew up to, I'd say that time we all met, it was maybe around like 15, but give or take. Packed crowd. And then from there, I'd say we fluctuated anywhere between 20 to 25. And then our age range, we actually have like quite a few elders from our community. We probably have like 3 or 4 like peers there, I'd say 50 plus, just like really, really curious, wanting to understand. They're definitely ahead of the bell curve within their age bracket, wanting to understand like, hey, what is Bitcoin? They see what's going on. They understand the principles. They come from an older generation that really understands more hard money aspects as opposed to younger generations. And then, of course, we'll have a younger crowd who is like, hey, we see what's going on. Like, we're living through all these drastic events that just keep mounting. And they themselves are curious. When it comes to like the technical side, I wouldn't say we have a ton of engineers. I'd say maybe 2 other engineers, 300 engineers. And the rest are just people from various backgrounds, whether it's they're mining curious, whether they're just interested from a finance perspective. We have random people who come from, again, like a lot of cybersecurity. Tampa's a really big cybersecurity town. So I don't think we've broken past 30 to say, unfortunately.
And, I mean, that's definitely a larger meetup compared to the people I've talked to and the meetups that I've been to. So that's definitely a really good, solid group forming thus far. And it's really crazy. I was talking with Ryan from the Grand Rapids group before this. Just every meetup you go to, there's definitely some gold bugs in there, and then there's guys all of our ages. I never would have expected so many, people older than me, older than my parents to be there at these meetups. And it just kind of goes against that FUD against, it's just a bunch of psychopath guys, whatever. We got all kinds of older people. And when you come meet us in person, we're not those psychopaths. we're generally, at least everybody I've been meeting seems like generally good people. So it's really cool that that aspect is hitting everywhere. And hopefully these older parents go and start orange pilling their grandkids and stuff and start bringing them to your meetups.
I've actually, I just met a couple this weekend who are they're like, oh, yep, I've got 3 sons. They're 19 through 23, and I'll send them over. And I was like, fantastic.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what's so important about doing these in-person meetups. A lot of people get their information from the internet, the headlines of being psychopaths or stuff like that. Where if you get someone, to come in person, no matter what age, the Bitcoiners at meetups are always welcoming. Happy to educate, and it really speaks more volumes than what a lot of people. What a lot of people think that the Bitcoin ecosystem is. We just want to educate and help people out.
Yeah. And so what's the structure of it? How often are your meetups? Are you doing, is it social time, or is it, is there like a specific topic for each meetup? How are you guys doing it out there?
Yeah. So we haven't really been having topics, but we literally, like, as of this meetup tomorrow, we're going to start having. So we're going to start having a curriculum kind of deal. What we're trying to do is we're trying to build out the circular economy. So we want the people who come regularly, building them up and being able after a couple months to be able to send them out and go forth and prosper kind of deal. And he's gone again.
Wait, Wes, you're talking about the one-on-one meetup structure, correct?
No, so we're gonna start doing. I don't know if Ben, you talked to Ben, but we're gonna start doing workshops while he's gone.
Really sorry about that.
It's all right. So right now our kind of rotation's been we're doing something once a week, every Thursday. We do a bit devs, which is our technical side, a social at a bar, 101, what's a wallet, social, bit devs. So we just kind of keep chopping up like that. We're gonna start throwing in workshops where like, how do I use BISC? How do I set up a VPN on my computer? Just like bring your stuff in, we'll hold your hand. This is what a cold wallet is. This is how you set up a multi-sig. Because a lot of it's, people have their cold cards sitting on their desk for months because they never feel like get around to it. And like, all right, no, it's going to take you 20 minutes. One of us will sit here with you and we'll walk you through the stuff. So we're rotating that into our schedule.
Yeah, and that's so beneficial, giving those people hands-on experience with, on-chain and Lightning, signing devices, and just really giving them some good experience knowledge to go that direction, because going down the rabbit hole on the internet, you could be led astray so easily, and it's hard to come across this stuff. So I know, like, meeting some older people, that's super beneficial to be doing that. And it's something I try to recommend to all meetup organizers, set these little social hours, make it a learning experience for those coming. You'll tend to get more people, first of all, because people want to come to something that's just not, some, continuous thing that, repetitive, but getting a new learning experience each time, kind of changes things up and allows people to have more interest and continue coming back.
Yep. Yeah, that's what we're definitely going to start doing that too, more on the one-on-one meetings. Obviously we're going to have time set aside for current events and just talking about topics of the month. But we're going to try to on our meetup pages do a better job of letting the people know specific topics that we're going to talk about while we're at the meetup, rather than just leaving it open-ended, so that you can tell if you're older and you've got kids or something, hey, next week's next week's 101 meeting is going to be about privacy, and we're going to talk about KYC versus non-KYC privacy practices, with addresses, using BISC, all these different metrics, and somebody can already know 2 weeks out, say, all right, I'm interested in being private. I'm going to make sure I get a babysitter for a week and a half out so that I can make that meeting. And then even months ahead, we're going to try to plan, and like Wes said, almost like a curriculum where we'll talk about, self custody for one of the meetings, just focus in on that, or, we'll gear it maybe on a one-on-one meeting, comparing fiat to or the traditional financial system to Bitcoin, and why, one is better than the other. Obviously, we know who wins that, but and then another one might be, a FUD breaking event where we just kind of go through the top 10 FUDs that, the internet likes to throw at us, and kind of go through each one and explain to these people in person, why the, energy consumption actually isn't bad, right? Or, different FUD, like what is Tether? Why is Tether, what does that word even mean? Things like that. So trying to organize it ahead of time rather than just saying, hey, we've got a meetup next Thursday, at least giving them some sort of information on specific topics. I think that's what we're going to try to implement here for the rest of the year, and I think it's gonna be good.
Absolutely, and especially people like watching. If you happen to see Bitcoin being talked about on mainstream news at all, what do you generally see? You generally see a Bitcoin logo, and then a couple other shit coins out there, and it's very deceptive to people. Seeing that on TV. Well, if there's that one, it's like that silver to gold thing. Silver, gold, or copper, and it's like, it's not like that. And having a Bitcoin meetup provides that opportunity to have a space to have those conversations with people and let them know that ugly C word, crypto, there's a huge difference. It's Bitcoin, not crypto. And so what about as far as like how many other meetups are kind of around you guys? And do you guys generally get travelers coming in from different cities around you, since you guys are definitely one of the bigger towns down there?
Yeah, so there's no other Bitcoin meetups nearby. There's like an irregular St. Pete cryptocurrency meetup, but we've gotten people out from Lakeland, which is an hour east, people from St. Pete, and people from, which is 30 minutes west. So the people come.
Water too. We have people come from Clearwater.
Yeah.
So the surrounding area. I mean, the Tampa St. Peter is a pretty wide swath, but yeah, I mean, I think Lakeland's the farthest I've seen come to from our meetups.
Which is like a solid hour that people are coming. And honestly, she's one of the best people we have coming.
Yeah. And she wants to spin off her own too. So she's seen us and she's like really inspired by it as well. So it's been positive.
And what's it like, kind of the rollback after the Bitcoin conference and people coming in? Is there that post-conference hype that brings in a little bit bigger crowds after the conference?
I'd say it's mostly price related.
Yeah.
I can tell. I mean, Gabe talked about that too. Gabe was the one who ran the meetup here for since 2013, what Ben was talking about. But he said it generally fluctuates with price, and this year's price action, we've kind of seen it firsthand too. I know some of our earlier meetups we had twice as many people as we do now, but that just means we got to focus in more on getting the word out there and marketing and getting more people involved, because every month when they print a new CPI print, people are looking for an exit door. So
especially today.
Yeah, we got to let them know that there's
especially today, especially in another month.
We're losing them again.
Hey. Sorry.
Is that Lee?
Journey. Here. Sorry about that. I have no idea what's going on. It's frustrating, but it's a part of the journey, unfortunately. So if you guys each want to kind of talk about too, like, what are your favorite aspects of Bitcoin? What do you like focusing your free time on, expanding your knowledge on?
I think for me, like one of the biggest touchdowns for Bitcoin and like why I'm very drawn to it is like the philosophical bond. I think there's a very strong alignment in principles and beliefs. So where like people are very, very much freedom seeking, self-sovereign seeking, and they all understand at a baseline level the issues in which that we're facing as a society, as a culture, and we want to fix it. It's not a bunch of people blowing hot air saying, oh, like, let's point to the fire and not bring the pail of water to fix it. We all want to pick up the bucket of water and extinguish the fire. Like, everyone's a go-getter. Everyone wants to see change. And I think that's very, very vibrant and very, very true in the Bitcoin space. And then I think from another side to it is just the convergence of like a lot of really fun tech and new age finance. Like, we're really breaking this hundreds and hundreds of year old finance approach, and we're again reestablishing a new approach that's going to be able to have a net benefit to society, as well as really just ruffle the feathers of people who, one, may be uncomfortable, but two, are going to see the value prop in the long run. So those are my favorite aspects for me.
Yeah, man, I just love nerding out. It's just so fun. Like, whether it be, a new protocol comes out or, new code base comes out that I can play around with, like new coin join protocols and stuff like that. And it's just really fun. And, just being, having internet money. And it's like, what was it like building the internet in, 94? I think that's like so cool. And the research rabbit hole that you can go down is a lot of fun.
And you kind of being into that, you also kind of get to know things ahead of time as well, which is cool. See what things came and went and what wrote it out, like Bitcoin has been doing.
For sure. It's really cool having this perspective on the greatest asset ever created.
Yeah, I like I was saying, I got into getting a node, and that was learning process for a non-techie person, and now I get to do Bitcoin mining for my fiat job, and so learning all that, and not that it's been too technical yet, but still just really expanding my knowledge in the techie area, and it's freaking awesome. I wish I knew more, and I no longer want a kid who's going to be a famous baseball player. I want a kid who's going to write code like Elon at a young age. I think that's just so awesome. It'll open up so many avenues for jobs. You go look at jobs and everything's engineered, just it's like, damn, so it opens up a lot. It's really awesome how much it can do for you.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And then we'll go Wesley. Even though I know where Wesley's going, so I'm looking forward to hearing this one.
Yeah. So my thing is definitely the mining, but it's really for the sovereignty aspect of it, and my obviously shipping containers and plugging into source energy is awesome, and stranded energy, like consuming trash and producing value out of it, is super cool. But one of my favorite things, applications of it, is in the home. And obviously, so you said you mine for your fiat job. I mean, you can't do it at home at these prices unless you plug it into your hot water heater. So that's really that's the thing I'm really keeping an eye on these days, and is kind of one of the things that if someone doesn't do it well, I just bought a house and I want it, so I'm just gonna freaking build it. There's a guy on Twitter, someone Schnitzel, he's this fish tank and an S9, and has automated hot water heating that he gets paid sats for. So if you have someone with a pool, or if you have an HVAC system in the north, so we're in Florida, so obviously the heat isn't as useful. But if people up north, I know a guy in Maine who put an S19 in his HVAC system, and he has to keep his windows open in the dead of winter, because it's so hot in his house.
Oh wow!
So the ways that people can really use mining to start securing a sovereign stack, and the best part is they consume the same electricity as a hot water heater while the heater's on. So obviously if you're running it full time to have a 95-degree pool, it's going to still be a little more expensive than it would have been, but you get sats.
Yeah.
So that's probably, so mining is definitely my favorite thing. I mean, I like taking the stuff apart and building them, and
yeah, it's definitely a new growing passion of mine for sure. So I'm kind of forced to do it, but the more I do, the more I just love it even more. So
yeah, that's another rabbit hole. You gotta become a utilities expert,
and then Fabian.
Electrician.
Yeah. Well, I mean, mine are kind of John and Wes's combined a little bit. But I would say it's probably, I mean, outside of the, well, I guess Ben's too. I mean, it's all,
Yeah, you don't like burned out.
everything's related to the tech. I mean, actually, it's probably more related to
Your favorite rabbit hole.
anybody else's. But I would say like the actual self custody and like digital property aspect of Bitcoin, I think is is awesome to me because it makes it. That's why it's so unique, right? It really is the only asset that exists outside of taking custody of like a physical gold bar, but like the fact that you can memorize 12 or 24 words and take real custody of this financial asset and send it across the universe for fractions of a percentage in transaction fees, I think is what's really awesome, right? Because growing up, it's really the savings technology, right? The entire market since we've been alive is you save through your 401k and the stock market, and basically it's one and the same now. But you've never had real custody of that asset that you're owning, right? I mean, you have third party risk because you have to buy it and you have to hold it on some sort of banking balance sheet or within a 401k pension fund or some bullshit like that. And I think Bitcoin, it's kind of why I'm wearing this shirt, right? It's like Bitcoin is fuck you money, where it's like this is my asset and I have it sitting on my steel plate seed words that are buried in my backyard or buried out in the bay somewhere. Me and John we were discussing trying to get our scuba tanks out and burying it somewhere out in the ocean, right? It's fucking awesome that you can do that with a digital asset. It's like what combining and connecting the digital to physical world through proof of work is just that's it's a mind-blowing technological advancement. And I think drilling into that is what I like about it, as well as that's what I like to use when I orange pill people too. Is like this is why this technology is so important. Since it's been invented, we live in a new world, right? This is a new reality. Like you either conform your beliefs to this reality or get out of the way, because Bitcoin's not going anywhere.
Yeah. And I think about, I got a degree in history. I want to be a high school history teacher before all this. And I think about like what the Industrial Revolution did, what different periods in America or world history have done. And just to think like what historians are going to say about the Bitcoin revolution and just what an awesome period we're living through.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, everybody always talks about like, yeah, damn it, I wish I would have bought it the first time I heard about it, or back in 2014 or whatever. But it's hard being in Bitcoin Twitter and being in the everyday news of Bitcoin. You always feel like you're late, right? But it's crazy to take a step back and realize like how early we really are, because if we think this is going to continue where it has the potential to go, I mean, this technology and this network's going to be around long after we're dead, and we're here, in the first decade of it. It's pretty remarkable. Oh, he's gone. We lost him. Yeah, shout out Colin. Thanks for the background. Look at this guy.
Yeah, you got a big fan, Fabio.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's one of our meetup members.
Oh,
Heck
he's back.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell is going on today. I apologize. I'm going to have to get you guys back on here again, and we'll have to do this again because, I don't know what keeps happening. But let's go ahead and unfortunately try to prevent this from happening again. Just kind of last final thoughts on the Bitcoin space and how to get a hold of the group and reach out to you guys.
Yes, you can find me at Bitcoin Bay Tampa on Twitter. DMs are open. I mine just like you. This is my job now. It's just orange pilling. So if my DMs are open for questions, I mean, I'm getting lunch with people, meeting people all the time. I mean, I just tell about Bitcoin for my job now. So yeah, at Bitcoin A Tampa.
Absolutely. Right on. Fabio?
Yeah, you can find me at Bitcoin__Bay on Twitter as well. Like Wes said, DMs are open. Happy to help. I think you can find us. I think it's Tampa Bay Bitcoineers, kind of a play on word. Buccaneers Bitcoineers is our meetup page. Thanks to shout out Gabe for letting us throw our meetup on his page as well. I think he's got like several thousand people that are in that group, so that's awesome to help us get exposure. But you can find us in both those spots. But yeah, I think it's awesome. I know price is down, so it's going to be. This is the hardest time to convince people to buy it. People, especially if they're new. But
It's the best
yeah,
time.
well, of course it's the best time, but it's the hardest time, I should say, to convince people because they're nervous and the talking heads on TV keep blabbering about bullshit. But yeah, no, I think our space we're still early. I think we're getting organized now and making sure we're structuring it and hopefully gonna have success here marketing and growing our network here in Tampa.
Yeah. Yeah, we have a Twitter account, Tampa Bit Devs. Every meetup, I put up the topics that we talk about on tampabitdevs.io. You can get in contact with me. I'm Benny Hoddle on Twitter. And Jay, just want to say thank you for doing this podcast, getting meetup groups some exposure, really get to showcase what's going on in their cities because Bitcoin is a global payment system for local communities, and you're really showcasing that with this podcast.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Well, John?
I'm a ghost. I don't have Twitter. I don't have social media. So,
Cool.
if you got my cell phone number, reach out. I'll always say hi.
Go meet him at a meetup and meet him in person.
Exactly. Let's be humans, one-on-one. So
yeah. Well, guys,
so much.
once again, I apologize for the connection issues and having to kind of cut it short. I just feel bad for that keep happening. So my apologies. I'm sorry for that. But thank you very much for coming on and signing up early. And we'll definitely be having to do this again once I do my run through the meetups that I have planned. So thank you guys for coming on. Thank you for doing Satoshi's work. And I look forward to keeping in touch with you guys throughout, what's to come.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Alrighty. I'll be back with you here in a sec.
All right.
See ya.
Alrighty. Those are the guys from Bitcoin Bay down in Tampa Bay, Florida. If you're listening, I apologize for the audio issues. Still ironing through all this. But thanks for listening. You can listen on Fountain app. You can listen on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Hard Money, Hard Knocks. You can connect with Knoxville Bitcoin Network on Twitter, Telegram, Truth Social. And also, if you ever are interested in getting a signing device, cold storage, you can look into the Bitbox 02 Bitcoin only version, cold storage, and use Knoxville for a 5% discount. So thank you for joining us. And once again, sorry for the issues. Keep stacking hard.